after a disastrous outing against the Columbus Blue Jackets Tuesday night, the Predators now head to Dallas to face one of the hottest teams in the league. Nashville has absolutely no chance tonight against the Stars. Or do they?
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy game day, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our Thursday episode, giving a shout out to our Locked On Predators insiders and to our everydayers who tune in each and every weekday to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio, and my friends, I have a partner in crime.
That you do. I am Emma Lingen, and I'm the Predators site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Emma, we are still emotionally picking up the pieces after an 8-4 loss Tuesday night in Columbus on the road. But friends, can't wallow long. There's more. The Predators still on the road. They are traveling to Dallas tonight. They are taking on one of the teams that is pretty hot right now, the Dallas Stars. On today's show, we're going to take a look back. Friends, it feels like 84 years. And when we share with you some stats from that first game of the season against Dallas, you will know it has been 8 decades since that October game. We're going to look back at that game. We are going to preview tonight's game against the Dallas Stars. And we're going to share a couple of perhaps small weaknesses Nashville could potentially exploit if they want to try and get a big upset in this Central Division. Emma, it feels so unlikely that we are here talking about it, but everything is unexpected with this Nashville Predators team. Of course, they are on the struggle bus. We mentioned that 8-4 loss against Columbus, but this is a team where every so often they go up against a really good opponent and they rise to the level of their opponent. I don't even know what to expect against Dallas. There is no way the Nashville Predators should get a win tonight, right? There's no way.
There isn't, but one of those times in which this team has managed to step up against very good teams happened to be the last time they were in Dallas. So there's always a chance. Does it mean anything at this point? No. But there's always a chance. And you know what? At this point, we just like watching fun hockey, and this has not been fun hockey. So maybe we just see some fun hockey. Who knows?
It would be great. You know, anything can happen. It's interesting you mentioned that win in Dallas because the Nashville Predators have been terrible on the road. They have won 9 road games this season, you all. 9. But one of them was against the Dallas Stars. Of course, these two teams are going to play each other 4 times total. They played twice so far. A third time will be tonight. The fourth game will be the last game of the season because who doesn't need that to wrap up their season? Right now, the series is 1-1. The home opener, the big debut. Just try to go back in your mind, Emma, back when the feeling we had inside was hope and anticipation, because it was the debut of Steven Stamkos, of Jonathan Marchessault, of Brady Shea, of kind of this new look Nashville Predators after a busy offseason. The Nashville Predators lost the home opener 4-3. It was such a weird game. Scott Wedgwood, I don't know if you remember him. He used to be a Nashville Predator for just the blink of an eye. Scott Wedgwood was in net because UC Saros had kind of tweaked something in the preseason. Preds went down 4-1 by the end of the second period, but they battled back, and the final score was a 4-3 game. Which, looking back, you know, Stamkos didn't score in that game. Marchessault didn't score in that game, but it felt like, okay, we can see there's potential. 4-3, not a horrible final score. Philip Forsberg had a power play goal. Do you remember Tommy Novak? Do you remember him? Yeah, he scored. Do you remember when Ryan O'Reilly scored goals? Yeah, he scored a goal so long ago.
Wow. That was indeed 84 years ago.
8 decades and score ago, friends.
I remember when my biggest concern about this team was the fact that Scott Wedgwood had to start that game because UC Saros was injured and no one knew how serious it was. It was like, "Oh my god, what this is the worst thing that could possibly happen." Oh,
We had no idea. We had no idea.
we had it so good. I remember coming away from that and, again, they went down, I think you said 3-1, and then they were able to battle back. And then, of course, didn't, they still fell a little bit short. But I remember coming away from that game thinking, you know what? If Saros had been in net, maybe not Wedgwood, and, a couple bounces go differently, they could have won that game. And you know what? Dallas is a better team. They're supposed to be a better team. And the Preds hung with them. So it was like, okay, it was a loss, but I feel okay about that. And then I never felt okay again after.
Yeah.
And
We
now
have not felt okay. We have not felt okay for a while. It's so funny because I remember that too, because one of the things that we had talked about is we're like, look, these first couple of games are going to be a challenge because you are trying to get Stamkos, especially in March or so, going. We knew Brady Shea was going to have an adjustment to make defensively, but you really felt like, look, this was a game where nobody was worried that Stamkos and Marchessault hadn't scored because we were like, okay, you can see it. Friends, it was nothing but a whisper of a mist. Here is what is so unreal to me, Emma. I went back and looked at the roster for that first game of the season. Let me tell you who was on the roster and played in that game that we will not see tonight for various reasons. Sissons, Nyquist, Jankowski, Tomasino, Novak, Shen, Lausanne, Carrier, Fabro, Yossi, Wedgwood, Matt Murray, potentially Jonathan Marchessault.
that's a whole team. That's
That is a whole
roster.
team.
Oh God.
Potentially 13 players who played the first game of the season are not going to be playing in Dallas tonight. Now, 4 of them are injured, 7 traded, 1 placed on waivers, 1 reassigned. Only 7 who played in that game currently remain on the Nashville Predators roster. The only defenseman, Brady Shea. You all, so much has happened to the Nashville Predators since that first game in October against Dallas. I mean, you could write a book, but nobody would want to read it.
We've lived it. Don't need to read it. We've lived it.
We've lived it. Someday, maybe Emma and I will do a documentary on how we survived the 2024-25 Nashville Predators season, but it's still too raw. Yeah. We're still just trying to get through it. Coming up, we are going to talk about the game the Predators won against the Dallas Stars, talk about how they did that. Also, is there a chance that Nashville could capitalize on some weaknesses that the Stars have to give them an advantage tonight? We're going to talk about that. Today's episode's brought to you by our friends at Game Time. There is nothing like watching basketball live, the energy of the crowd, that sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets even easier. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats for concerts, for sporting events, for comedy, for theater, so that you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals that give you the best bang for your buck with seat views before you buy, no surprise fees at checkout, and a lowest price guarantee. You can book your tickets with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, Emma. So I just read a lengthy list of the Nashville Predators who played in the season debut against the Dallas Stars who will not be playing tonight. Jonathan Marchessault, as of time of recording, we don't know. He is listed as day-to-day. We don't know for sure whether he will be back against Dallas or not. I'm just curious, when you hear this list, and I know there was about 857 names on it, but who is the player that you think Nashville needed or would need the most tonight to make an impact that isn't going to be on the ice against the Stars?
Well, first of all, to go back to Marchessault for a second, he was not even on the trip with the team on the first stops, so I'm not sure that that's looking too great for him being in Dallas, but you never know. Anyway, no news can hurt me more than this team already has. So, that's just one to file away. But
Yep.
yes,
note.
okay, that was a very lengthy list. Very lengthy list. I'm struggling to remember them all, but I'm going to go with, if I have to pick one. I mean, Yossi is the obvious answer, right? Because Yossi always makes you better. But I'm going to say other than Yossi because he's still on the team. He's just,
Missing in
he's
action.
injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go of the guys who are like physically no longer on the team anymore. I'm going to go Fabro.
Yes.
Fabro. I think that he helps. I think that Fabro or Carrier, honestly, with both right shot defensemen, which you need. Because I'm sorry, but Nick Blankenberg, I love him, but he should not be a top pairing defenseman. He should not be quarterbacking the top power play unit. And everything else on defense is just a mess. So I'm going to have to go with any of the defensemen.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Yossi is the obvious answer. I think so many games could be swung offensively and defensively by having Roman Yossi back. He has not had an easy season, but any Yossi is better than no Yossi. I think if there's one thing we have learned down the stretch run of this season, any Yossi is better than no Yossi. I agree with you. And Dante Fabro, such regret. And I know we just played him. He just scored a goal against the Nashville Predators, but such regret. Definitely having FOMO on Fabro, which is kind of a fun little, we should make t-shirts. Swag store FOMO on Fabro. Yeah.
I just think that, if you look at, obviously it wasn't the trade, like it wasn't even a trade. That's the thing, is that you let him walk for nothing. But we don't need to rehash this whole thing because Lord knows we've done it a lot already and it makes us sad. But I just think that, especially with Barry Trotz saying that, we don't, like in the off season, I want to go out and trade for a right shot defenseman. We need a right shot defenseman to play with Roman Yossi. You had one and
just
you gave him up.
Fabro. You know what? Offer him an apology and more money and sign him.
But here's the thing. I'm like, even if you had decided, Barry Trotz had decided that Fabro was not your guy for whatever reason, you didn't like him, you didn't want to keep him on the team beyond this year. That's fine. He wasn't signed beyond this year. You keep him, and then if you're going to let him walk for nothing, let him do it in the offseason. But I just said that we're not going to rehash it, and I promise we are not. But I think that just looking at, again, yes, offense has been disappointing for the Nashville Predators this year because, of course, when you go out and add Stamkos and Marchessault and you already have Forsberg and then you have Yossi, of course, Yossi being injured, but, Stamkos, Marchessault took them a while to kind of get ramped up. They've been really streaky, as we know, and that 4 goals they scored against Columbus was just an explosion of offense.
Oh my gosh.
We never get that many goals anymore. But to me, that has still, like, the lack of offense, yes, it's been surprising, but that to me has not been as concerning to me as the defense, because when you look at the roster, you're not asking where are the goals going to come from. It's pretty clear. Like,
Right.
these guys have enough of a, you know, a body of work to look at and say, like, okay, we can chalk this up to a bad year, and, you know, like, you feel pretty confident that these are where your goals are going to come from. Stamkos, Marchessault, Yossi, Forsberg, etc.
Yep.
But when I look at the roster and I look at the defense, I have no hope. There is just no hope. And, you
Yeah.
know, I never thought that we would, I mean, again, no disrespect whatsoever, but I never thought we'd be missing Jeremy Lauzon this much less anyone else. And that is what frightens me, because at least on offense, I have hope. I have hope that they
Mhm.
can turn it around next year. Defense, ugh.
It's a personnel thing on defense. It's a
Yeah.
personnel issue. It's
Yep.
there are clearly issues offensively, but I don't know that personnel, that's not the most glaring one. But when you
Right.
look at defensively this roster, personnel is a question. And it is tough. Nashville did get a win against the Dallas Stars in December. They won 4-1. Do you remember when we used to win games with 4 goals? Again, 84 years ago. 4-7 years ago, the Nashville Predators won a road game. Interestingly, that game that the Predators won December 12th, I believe that was Jake Ottinger's first home loss. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Justus Ananen in net made 35 of 36 saves. Interestingly, we have not seen UC Saros play the Dallas Stars yet. Will we see him play them tonight? We will find out. Yeah, it can be done. And again, very different looking roster even back in December. You didn't have nearly as many injuries. Of course, the trade deadline action hadn't happened. So still a very different looking roster going into tonight. Coming up, these are two teams coming at this game tonight from two very different trajectories. But what can Nashville do to capitalize on any teeny tiny weakness that the Dallas Stars have? We're going to tell you what that is coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness in full swing, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That is 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to who is going to ultimately cut down the nets. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. So visit fanduel.com and get in on the college hoops action. Again, check out all the action at fanduel.com. All right, Emma, Dallas clinched their playoff spot over the weekend with a win over the Kraken. That must be amazing. This is their 4th consecutive playoff appearance. Also sounds amazing. Rupe Hintz named second star of the week last week. Sounds dreamy. Mikko Rantanen signed with the Stars in his 12 games with the Stars. 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. Lovely. Emma, for the love of all that is hockey, holy in this world, what can Nashville do to be competitive in this game? Where is the chink? Where is the little sliver of hole in this Dallas Stars armor that Nashville can capitalize on tonight?
Well, it's all relative, right? And glass houses and whatnot. I am just laying out the facts here. The Nashville Predators have a huge problem on defense.
Huge.
The Dallas Stars do not have as glaring of a problem on defense as the Predators do. But if we're talking relative weaknesses, defensive depth in particular is one of them for Dallas, because they are without Miro Heiskanen, who's injured on their top pairing. That hurts them a lot. It's mostly been Thomas Harley, who has been kind of shouldering those extra minutes with Heiskanen being out, and then Esa Lindell as well. Beyond those guys, the first and second pairing, there's not a lot there. I mean, Cody Ceci, who they traded for with Mikhail Granlund from San Jose, he is now playing on the second pairing. And Cody Ceci is a fine defenseman. He's fine. He is playing a lot more minutes than he probably should be. But with the injuries, that's where they're at right now. I think that you get to the third pairing, and that is where it just kind of looks like the biggest weak link on that team. You have Matt Dumba, who has been just a liability this season, and then you have Leon Bischel, who, if you'll recall, and he may or may not be in your backpack of hockey grudges, because he's the one who fell and his skate cut Michael McCarron on the neck in that
cool,
game.
man. Not cool.
Yeah. May or may not have gotten confirmation from a reliable source that he actually did aim for that and tried to do that on purpose. So yeah.
So busted.
Anyway, I think that he, he's a rookie. Obviously, he's very large. He clearly has some issues, controlling his body that can lead to penalties, and just sort of mistakes like that. So it's that really the second and third defensive pairings for me that are like, if you're trying to expose Dallas, again, the Nashville Predators have not been playing like an elite team. However, I do believe that they have elite offensive talent on their team. And that is the kind of talent, I'm looking at you, Philip Forsberg, and Steven Stamkos in particular. That is the kind of talent that can expose a weak defense like the one that Dallas has without Miro Heiskanen.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And again, glass houses, like we know what the Nashville Predators defense looks like. It's bare bones. We get that.
It's not a competition of who has the worst defense. We clearly answered that question.
This is not a compare and contrast. This is just to make some observations. But I agree with you. If Nashville wants to win, you have to get offense from your top guys. And you know what? Nashville scored 4 goals against the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I don't know that we should be like, Jordan Osterley is going to carry this team offensively. He and Justin Barron, put him on your back and carry him. That is the job of Steven Stamkos and Philip Forsberg. That is their job, and they have to do it tonight. I would love to see Fedor Svechkov have a big game. I would love to see Zachary Leroux score, but by dang, Stamkos, Forsberg, O'Reilly, get in there and get some stuff done. Mentioned, Fedor Svechkov, mentioned Zachary Leroux. The Nashville Predators, as of the time of this recording, we are recording this Wednesday night. As of the time of this recording, have not recalled anybody. For the love, let us not do 11 forwards, 7 defensemen. Let's just into the future, Emma. If you were the Predators and you were going to recall somebody, who would you recall for that forward position?
Well, we are also still waiting on Matthew Wood, who could be joining the team in Dallas. Although
I would not want that. Welcome to the NHL. Play the Dallas Stars.
Welcome to hell. Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it's a good thing. I just don't know. But if we're assuming that he's not going to play or not going to be available, I've seen a lot of people asking why Joakim Kemmel hasn't been called up, but I'm gonna honestly say that against this team, for where this team is right now, I'm gonna say Ozzy Weisblatt is who I would prefer to see. I think he plays with a little bit more edge. He looked really good in his last stint with Nashville. It was brief, but he looked really good. And I think that Kemmel struggled a little bit, and I'm by no means concerned by that. I mean, it was his first taste of the NHL. This has been a god-awful season for Nashville. I don't have any long-term concerns about Kemmel. But if you're just looking to try to use the resources that you have and get the most out of them, situationally, I would like to see, if they're going to make a call up, I would go with Weisblatt.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of people would kind of lean towards Kimmel. He's, considered basically a goal scorer. And we just got done saying, look, Nashville, you've got to score some goals. But I do think not just in this game, but I just think big picture, you want eyes again on Ozzy Weisblatt, because this is somebody who really had a chance and made a real good push in training camp. He has been so good in Milwaukee. I think Barry Trotz is fascinated by Ozzy Weisblatt. I think this is one of those players that he's like, okay, I think there's something there. And so I would love to see Ozzy back up here. Also, here's what's real. Ozzy is energy on ice. The
Yes.
way that he plays, the energy to which he plays, and that is not a criticism of Joachim Kemmel by any stretch. It's just a very different style of play that is kind of a generator of energy. Andrew Brunette has talked about, lines need like an energy guy. Ozzy Weisblatt is an energy guy.
Yeah,
Now,
they do things very well. And I think that Ozzy too, the difference between this time, like now versus the last time he was in Nashville, and I don't know if they would do this, but now, we're seeing guys, because kind of all bets are off now. So we're kind of seeing guys who had previously been relegated to the bottom six are now getting more, bigger opportunities, more minutes. And I'm not saying that they necessarily would do that with Ozzy, but there's a chance that he could play a larger role. He was kind of, I think he pretty much stuck on that fourth line the whole time he was in Nashville. Maybe we see third line Ozzy or even second line Ozzy. Who knows? So I think that, there's more. He was more like intriguing or exciting to me when he was in Nashville. I know what Kemmel can do. I've seen it, and
right.
I'm, like I said, I'm not concerned. But Ozzy just has like these different, I feel like, facets to his game that just make him very interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know what, Ozzy Weisblatt is, we talked about the energy. He is somebody that gives the Nashville Predators fan base kind of a different player, a different style of play to watch. And right now, I don't know that Barry Trotz is clearly making decisions based entirely on how the fan base feels, friends. But give the people some Ozzy Weisblatt. Like we said, we pre-recorded this. We will see what Nashville opts to do when it comes to the lineup against Dallas. Tonight's game in Dallas on the road, which has always been a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up for the Predators. Can they generate something? Or is this going to be another limp to the finish kind of game for the Preds? Puck drop scheduled for 7 p.m. Central Time, just so you know. On tomorrow's show, ever faithful Emma and I gonna be back, and we are going to talk about whatever happens tonight in Dallas. And friends, let's be real. Who knows? Sure. Could be anything. I mean, we have suspicions of how this is going to go, but Nashville could throw us a curveball. It's hard to say. So make sure you tune in for that recap on tomorrow's show as well. Before we log off today, Emma, where can everybody find you and your work?
You can find me on social media at Emma_Lingen, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Friends, that is going to do it for this game day episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks again so much for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow to recap the Stars Preds game. We'll see you then.